Connecticut basketball. The reason why I didn't talk about basketball was because, the reason why when Gina asked me the best celebrations of March, why I stepped back from it was because I wanted an extended table topic of 7 minutes instead of the normal 2. Let me tell you how you begin to be a fan of March Madness. You're growing up, you're about 8 years old, you're watching a basketball game. It's just a basketball game. There's this upstart team that's just started playing. They've always been like 4th or 5th place even in their own division. And so they keep playing, and just this one year they have a good run. It looks like they're going to do well. All of a sudden, they're playing against this team. They're playing against Clemson. It gets down to the very end of the game. They've played a hard-fought game. It's just been back and forth. But they're down. The problem is they're down by 1 point. That's a problem. The other problem is they're at the other end of the goal where they need to go 100 feet to be able to put the basket in the goal. Third problem, you have 1 second. These are things that make children into fans for the rest of their lives. I am a huge University of Connecticut basketball fan because of that day. That day when Scotty Burrell, who forewent a scholarship with the Seattle Mariners to come play basketball at the University of Connecticut, ended up playing in the pros, took the ball, threw the ball 90 feet to the only senior on the team, Tate George, who turned around and threw it in the goal. You don't have to take my word for it. ESPN Classic loves it. So you just watch it every now and then. So what is this? That is what's called the shot in the history of University of Connecticut basketball. So it's time for March Madness again. It's a few weeks of the year where I just am really excited about this. It's a time where 65 different schools all get a chance, varying sizes. Have you ever seen the movie Hoosiers?
Yes.
It's even that same concept except on a college level. Why is it like that? We'll go into a little bit of the dynamics of what actually works. Okay, so what you do is you have a tournament. You have 65 teams, which you're trying to figure out, how does 65 work? Because, how do you have an odd number when you have all these different teams? Well, they started a couple of years ago, they figured out there was an extra day in there where they could actually play a play-in game, so they can get one more day of TV coverage. What they do is they play the play-in game, which is the worst team versus the second worst team. And then this team gets to play the number 1 team in the nation. Doesn't sound fair, but hey. That's the only team that actually has to have 6 wins to win the tournament. So what they'll do is every team is broken down. You have 16 teams. You'll have the 1 team play the 16, the 8 play the 9, and all the way down. It's just great. Now the structure of it all is set up. There's the 65 teams. Then you have the round of 32. And then you start getting into the really cool names that they spend a lot of time with their marketing departments. You have the Sweet 16, which to get to the Sweet 16 is a high accomplishment. You have the Elite 8. And then you have the one thing if you ever turn on the TV, you see anything about college basketball, it's always the Final Four. So then, of course, from there you have the championship game, and then you have the overall champion. So this should be a really excellent year. What's really been neat in recent years is actually that a lot of the bigger schools are graduating guys a lot younger. So a lot of these smaller schools have guys for 4 years, so they're beginning to develop some really great teams nowadays. It's really fun to watch. Now, there's one term you do need to know when you're talking about basketball. It's this term of Cinderella. Now, no, this isn't some lady who's overly dressed at a basketball game, walking across the court, leaving her shoe. What this is that term. This is that term that I was just mentioning. That same type of feeling that all of us felt when TCU made it to a BCS game. You were just sitting there going, yeah. I mean, we're just a small market with TCU and Fort Worth. It's not as big as University of Texas at Austin or University of Florida. There was just that excitement from inside of us. That's one of the things that's just so amazing during this time of year. Why get excited about this? You get to see all the little teams play the big teams. So, like I mentioned, Hoosiers. Hoosiers is just the story of which a small school in Indiana ends up getting to play it ends up making it all the way to the state championship. They didn't have like the 4A, 1A, 3A thing. And they get to play in Indianapolis for the state championship in basketball. The same type of thing, except on a national level. Small schools have funny mascots. You get to know that you would never know. I still don't know where half of these teams are. Well, I know where the Dayton Flyers are, but Flyers, like, who comes up with a mascot of the Flyers? I don't even know what that is. Is that a little red wagon that they're pulling along with them? Or you get schools like Gonzaga that it takes forever to figure out where Gonzaga actually is. And these schools become heroes and legends, not just for one day, but for years and years and years. You have teams that are very, very prone to upset teams like Princeton, who, of course, most people know, but just not seen as a basketball school. You get those unforgettable moments like the shot, the one that I just mentioned, the one that I was probably about 9 years old when I saw. And it was the beginning of UConn becoming a dynasty and winning. Now they've won about 2 or 3 national championships in the last 10 years. Everyone starts with it. My favorite part about this, and the most exciting part of everything, is you have 65 teams, and all of them start at the exact same place, with the exception of these guys. If you win 5 games, you are the national champion. Now, you don't have to have the best team coming in. You don't even have to be the second best team. You could be the absolute worst team in the tournament, and you just have to win 6 games. If you win 6 games, you're the national champion. So I just love it because all you have to do is be a good enough team to basically get a seat at the table, and then from there on, it's what you do with it. So it's a fun time to watch. So a couple of things I want to encourage you in. Now, one of the things I want you to do this March. Now, there's a lot of very important things this March, but we all know this is more and more important. There's a lot of national holidays. There's a lot of great things going on. Pick a team. Pick a team. You don't have to pick Connecticut because they may not make the tournament. They've had a rough year, but that's a whole other story. But pick a team. Like, just watch. Just pick one team and just see how they do. Pick an upstart team. You never know, like a school like Richmond or Old Dominion or Butler, Princeton or Xavier. These are all schools that probably most of us have maybe heard of once, maybe not ever. But just those upstart teams that have caused a total, that have really done well. First of all, okay, so what you have to do is get together a group of people. One of the things that I did at the place where I work, on ESPN, they make it really easy for you. Get a bunch of people together. You all put in your selections together, and then what you're able to do is you're able to have kind of like a fun tournament and see which games are going on. By the way, you can watch the games online too, cbssportsline.com. Now, when you're making your selections, there's a few things to take a look at. First thing, you have to pick some upsets. You have to pick some lower teams to beat upper teams, just because it's going to happen. So you just need to do that. Every now and then you'll have a number 2 team beat a number 15 team, but that's extremely rare. The number 16 team, like the last place team going against one of the first place teams, has never happened before. So if you predict it, you can hold on to that forever, knowing that you're the only person to ever do that. So what I encourage you to do is just go ahead and do that. Get together a group of people. I'll fill out papers and go over all that. It just makes it really fun. It'll cause you to listen to the radio more. Kind of like Eddie was talking about skipping school to watch Don Larson. When I was in high school, I would actually take a radio with just a one-ear plug, and I would put it in my ear and be listening to basketball games when I was in high school. It was I still remember that. So trying to keep on track. So fill out a bracket. Just watch some games. Enjoy the games. If you get a chance to go to some place where there's multiple TVs, one of my favorite places is like the Fox and a Hound downtown. They even have like stadium seating with like some of the tables. You can sit there with a few friends and watch a couple games. It's really a blast. And just maybe you'll be able to actually see one of those moments where there's 1 second left, 100 yards to go on the court, and you get to see an entire room explode with excitement. So just remember, guys, it's almost that time of year again, and take advantage of it.